Alrighty, so it's the first YouTube video. How y'all doing? I'm doing pretty good. So most of you are actually going to be from Instagram, and it all started with me sitting, being bored, and dyeing my hair, telling Greek mythology stories, and then conspiracy stories, and then all these things, and then it turned into people wanting me to start posting YouTube videos. So here I am doing that because I have nothing better to do with my time. So I figure that since kind of on the Instagram chat or live that I did, I talked already about how Greek mythology kind of came about. So I figure that we can start with the big kahuna himself, Zeus, and do the thing that Zeus was most known for and cover that, which was sleeping with other women. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. Zeus's great love affairs. They're very interesting. And honestly, before we get into this, Hera was a jealous girl. Yes, you were correct on that. But if I went through the crap that Hera went through, I'd be ready to kill some bitches too. So, yeah. All right. Well, let's get into this. I'm gonna have my notes over here just so you guys know I'm not looking away from you. Now, let's just get started. So his first lover was Metis. Okay, she was a Titan goddess. I know, weird, right? They sent the Titans to hell, but I guess the goddesses got to stay around. All the gods, all the Titan gods went to Tartarus. I don't know. Okay, so Metis was a Titan goddess. She was the daughter of Oceanus and Theseus. She was also the first wife of Zeus. Surprise, Hera wasn't the first. She was the goddess of wisdom, prudence, and deep thought. And according to the prophecy, she would bear 2 children, Athena being one of them, and then she would give birth to a son who would soon overthrow Zeus. Now, Zeus being scared of that, for some freaking reason, that is what all these gods are terrified of. First Uranus, then Kronos, now Zeus. He tricked Metis by trying to play a game with her to see who was the more powerful god. So he would turn into an animal, and then she would turn into an animal, and then he'd turn into an animal, and then he goes, well, if you're all that great, then turn into a fly. So she turns into a fly. Now, then Zeus swallowed her. Yummy. And she was already pregnant with Athena. So she is now in Zeus's belly as a fly, pregnant with little baby Athena. And while she is in Zeus's stomach, she starts making Athena a helmet. And, which I don't know how that works, but I guess she did. So then Zeus started getting a giant headache, and he was in so much pain that he went to Hephaestus, the god of blacksmiths, and asked him to break open his head with an axe. And as soon as Hephaestus hit Zeus over the head with an axe, Athena popped out. Full-grown Athena. And she was clad in armor, ready to battle. And this led to the belief, the stupid, ridiculous belief in ancient Greece, that children came from their fathers, that women had no real contribution to the creation of children. Don't get me started. Anyway, now Zeus and Metis obviously broke up because Metis was swallowed, and Zeus ended up marrying again. He married a goddess called Themis, who was also a Titan goddess. And she was the goddess of tradition, and they ended up having 6 children. 3 of them were the Muses, and 3 of them were the Fates. I'll get into what those are later. Now, he was then interested in his sister Demeter, the goddess of harvest, but she was not interested, and she was like, no, you're my brother, go away, that's gross. Now, his third wife was, pronunciation is not my greatest form, okay? His third wife was Mnemosyne, who he had 9 muses with. No, sorry. Okay. Zeus and Themis, who had 6 kids, gave birth to the Hours and the Fates. And then his third wife, Mnemosyne, he had 9 children with, and those were the Muses. I don't think this is a good angle. I'm sorry. I'm still learning. Leave me alone, okay? Is that better? I'm more in front. I'm more in the middle. Whatever. Okay, now, he was later involved with Leto, okay? She was another Titan goddess, daughter of Zeus and Phoebe. Hey, Phoebe, friends, how you doing? She was pregnant when Zeus married Hera, and this made Hera very jealous, and Hera pushed Leto out of Olympus, and with her having nowhere to go, she would try to go and hide in other houses and places like that, but nobody would let her in because they didn't want to offend Hera. So she was kind of just left on her own. Then Hera decided to send a giant named Python after Leto to try and kill her, and Leto ran away, trying to run away. And Zeus saw this happening and sent the north winds Boreas to blow her away to the island of Delos, where she then gave birth to Artemis and Apollo. 2 twins. Yay! 2 twins. Of course it's 2. They're twins. Now, during his marriage to Hera, he continued to have affairs with other women. Of course, because it's Zeus and everybody knows him to be the original player. Now, the first one that he had after being married to Hera, hold on, this one upsets me. Was Europa. And Europa was a princess, and some say she was a moon goddess, but that's not completely verified or not. But she was a princess, and she was the daughter of King Agnor of Sidon. Now, one day while she was by the river gathering flowers, all of a sudden Zeus saw her randomly gathering these flowers, and she was with a group of other maidens. And Zeus, trying to seduce her, turned himself into a white bull. So now he's a white bull, the most beautiful white bull anybody had ever seen. And somehow Europa fell in love with this white bull and jumped on the back of this white bull, and it immediately jumped into the sea and started swimming to the island of Crete. That's where Zeus revealed that he was not a bull and that it was Zeus, and told Europa that she was going to bear him many famous sons, and that included Minos and Rhadamanthus. Now, there's a lot, this kind of blew up, and Europa kind of turned into a laughing stock of ancient Greece because she basically had smexy smoo with a bull. So that happened. Now, Io. Her name is literally Io, so I don't know if it's necessarily pronounced Io, but that's just what I'm going with. Not good with pronunciations, I've told you this. Now, Io was the princess of Argos, who Zeus fell in love with. He falls in love a lot. Who fell in love with her, and to try and keep Hera from noticing, he covered the world in dark clouds. Obviously, Hera noticed that the world was all of a sudden covered by dark clouds, so she came down from Mount Olympus and was like, what's going on, and started clearing away the clouds. And in efforts to fool Hera, he turned Io into a heifer. If you don't know what a heifer is, it's a female cow. He turned her into a heifer, and when Hera saw Zeus just standing there with a random heifer, he goes, well, I don't know where it came from. It just came right out of the ground. It was magic. I don't know. And Hera, obviously knowing that that was a lie, she goes, okay, well, that's a gorgeous, gorgeous heifer. I want it. I want it as a gift. So Zeus, knowing now that he couldn't turn her down unless he wanted to blow his whole operation wide open, he was like, yeah, sure, you can have the heifer. And Hera's a bad bitch, okay? Hera's a bad bitch. Hera decided to take the cow and sent it off to she just sent the cow away. I thought I put where she sent the cow away, but I guess I couldn't find it. She sent the cow away and asked Argus Panoptis to watch over it. Now, Argus was a giant who had 100 eyes. So if 99 of the eyes were asleep, he always had one eye that was open, which made him the perfect watchman for this cow. So he was now the watchman of the cow, and it was all good for Hera. Then Zeus decided to send Hermes to go and get Io back, and Hermes disguised himself as a shepherd and used his musical talents to trick Argus into befriending him, and then Hermes killed Argus and took Io and basically freed her. He didn't take her anywhere. He was just like, okay, there you go, have fun. Now, Io was now still a heifer and was now being haunted by Argos's ghost. And so she started traveling the world as a cow and kept starting to lose her mind because this ghost of a giant was just haunting her everywhere. And one day she comes across Prometheus, and Prometheus gives her a prediction a prophecy that she's going to have a son who's going to come and free him. So she needs to keep moving and stay confident and be strong. So she keeps traveling and ends up at the Nile, where Zeus turns her back into a human, and she ends up having a child named Epius. Oh my God, she ends up having Epius. And 11 generations later, her descendant from Epius was Hercules, who actually ended up going and freeing Prometheus. We'll get into that story later too, in another video. Now, his next one was Semele. Semele was a princess of Thebes, daughter of Cadmus and Harmonia. And Zeus fell in love again with Semele. And it's so weird how he fell in love with her, because he fell in love with her while she was sacrificing a bull on his altar. Real romantic right there. And so he visited her many times after that. Semele became pregnant, and Hera found out, became jealous, but this time she had a plan. And so what she did was she disguised herself as Semele's wet nurse, basically, in that time, and goes to her as her wet nurse and says, "Are you sure that this man is Zeus? Has he shown you any proof that he is Zeus?" And Semele goes, "No." And now Semele's starting to doubt that this random man who's claiming to be Zeus isn't Zeus at all. So the next time she sees him, she basically begs him, like, "You need to show me that you're Zeus, because I don't believe you, and I'm not about to have this child with just some random stranger," basically. And the whole reason why Hera did this is because Hera knew that if Zeus revealed his true form to Semele, that Semele would die, because she wouldn't be able to handle it. So now Semele's begging Zeus to show her his true form, and he gives in, shows Semele his true form, and she ends up bursting into flames. Well, Zeus is able to save the unborn child, and he sews the child into his thigh. Yeah. So a few months later, the god Dionysus is born, and later manages to save his mother from the underworld, brings her to Mount Olympus, and she becomes the goddess Theon. Now, what's special about Semele is that she's actually the only mortal in all of Greek mythology to ever give birth to a full-on god. All other mortals usually give birth to demigods, so good for Semele. I don't know how she was able to do it, but she was able to do it, so good for her. Now, Ganymede, I don't know if that's how you say that either, was a Trojan prince in Greek mythology. Now, yeah, prince. He was known for his beauty. He was the son of the king Tros of Dardania, after whom Troy took its name, and Calithron. Now, according to the myth, Zeus turned into an eagle Zeus turns into a lot of things to try and get it on with people, and abducted him, bringing him to Mount Olympus to compensate his father. Zeus offered him the best horses possible. Imagine somebody kidnapping your kid and then being like, oh, but I got a white horse. Do you want that instead? And it being okay. What? No. And told him that his son would now be immortal and serve as a cupbearer for the gods, as well as a lover for Zeus. And Tros, Ganymede's father, was so excited about this that he was like, yeah, that's fine. That's a pretty good gig up there. And now almost all of the gods were completely fine with him, except for Hera, of course, because she was jealous. I mean, I would be jealous too if my husband went and decided to go and kidnap a boy and bring him home to be his lover. Like, yeah, I think you have a right to be jealous at that point. Now, he was later made into the constellation Aquarius. Go Aquarius, woohoo. It all started with a kidnapped prince. Yay, okay. Now, Callisto. This one's my favorite one. Okay, so Callisto was a nymph, and she was the daughter of Lycaon, king of Arcadia. She was transformed into a bear and actually turned into a constellation. She was one of Artemis's hunting attendants. She was a follower of goddess Artemis, and therefore she must have taken a vow of chastity. So Artemis, yes, Artemis is Zeus's daughter, okay? And Callisto was one of Artemis's friends, and she was turned into a bear, and by Hera, by the way. Hera turned her into a bear because she noticed that Zeus was starting to pay attention to her. Now, Zeus saw her and fell in love with her. To lure her, he turned into Artemis and eventually took advantage of her. And Callisto bore a son. Now, his name was Arcas, by the way. After this, she was turned into a bear by Hera. God, I am falling apart over here. My God. She was turned into a bear by Hera. And either by Zeus while trying to hide his misdeeds, or by Hera out of jealousy. Nobody really knows, but I'm pretty sure it was out of Hera that Hera turned her into a bear after she found out that Zeus had another son with somebody else. Now, and this is where it gets kind of sad, because Artemis was so serious about her vow of chastity that she actually started hunting down the bear Callisto because she had broken her vow of chastity. Now, Zeus, being upset with the fact that she was being hunted down, he ended up putting her into the stars as Ursa Minor, the Big Dipper, basically. No, the Little Dipper. Oh my God, no. She was put into the constellation as Ursa Major, the Big Dipper, and her son Arcas, who later died, joined her in the skies as Ursa Minor, the Little Dipper. My Lord, I give up. I need to stop trying at this point. I've been researching all day and my brain's just not working anymore. That's just it. It's gone. It's done. Now, Dione, I think. She was another Titan goddess, and most probably a daughter of Oceanus and Theseus. Now, nobody knows this for sure because it's Greek mythology and not everything was written down. It was mostly told through stories. So, according to some sources, she was the first wife of Zeus, with whom she had a daughter, the goddess Aphrodite. She was an oracle and was worshipped alongside Zeus at the earliest oracle in Greece that was located at Dodona. She made an appearance in Homer's Iliad when her daughter was wounded and she tried to heal her. The priestesses and prophetesses at her shrine in Dodona were called Pleiades, or the doves, which was the sacred bird of her daughter Aphrodite. That's all I could really find on her. I couldn't find anything crazy that happened with her and Zeus. or Hera. I just know that some people think that they had an affair and that she was his first wife and they had Aphrodite together. That's all I really know. Even though most of the stories of Aphrodite says that she was just born from the waves. So, I don't know. But there are also some lovers of Zeus that you can't find anything on their story. It's just in Greek mythology that they might have had an affair at some point, which is Persephone, Nemesis, Thalia, and Alcmene. Now, I can't find any of the stories behind these affairs, but apparently they had affairs. Now, if I find them later on, I will be sure to add to this video, but as of right now, I can't find where they had an affair or not, so there we go. Those were the affairs of Zeus. So what do you think? Do you think that Hera was just a crazy jealous bitch, or do you think that Zeus kind of gave her a reason to be so crazy and jealous? Let me know. Tell me in the comments below. All right. Bye.